All right, I think we are live in effect. All right, so Justin Fox here, founder and CEO of Backers. And yesterday we released our official offering, initial Backers offering on the Backers platform on the 108 Securities funding portal. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about you as an entrepreneur and how you can use the Backers platform to now raise capital for your business. So this is Getting Backers Part 1. I'm actually going to go in and I'm just going to kind of show you guys what the funding portal looks like and what you can expect when you start or when you launch an offering on the funding portal. So we're going to dive right in. I'm going to share my screen here. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm referring to. So let's dive right in. So what you're seeing here is what an investor would see when they land on your offering. So the initial kind of welcome screen for all investors, all people that land on the 108 Securities funding portal. There is a warning, an acknowledgement. Obviously, this is a regulated offering. So there are obviously warnings and different things that the securities, in this case, Ontario Securities Commission, puts up so that obviously people that are coming here realize that this is offered through an exempt market dealer, which is 108 Securities. And that obviously if an investment in your business is made, that there is inherent risk in that investment. But I'm going to show you the Backers offering on the 108 Securities portal. Obviously, Backers is the underlying software provider that is facilitating this whole thing. But this is the offering for Backers on the 108 Securities funding portal, which is operated on the Backers platform. So let's get into it. So they acknowledge that they accept the risk. They understand that what they're getting themselves into. And then they get to the offering page. So let's kind of break this down a little bit, because I think this is, a lot of people wonder, like, what is an offering? What does it mean? How do I go about selling shares or equity in my business through an online funding portal? So as I mentioned, 108 Securities is the exempt market dealer. They are the ones that are underwriting the deal. They are the ones that are regulated by the Ontario Securities Commission to facilitate these types of transactions. So they are the regulated entity. And as you can see down at the bottom, it is powered by Backers. It's powered by the underlying software that is what we built as Backers. So Backers Network Inc. is the underlying corporation for Backers. And that is what we own, operate, and have spent the past couple of years building out. And if you know, and if you've seen the video, there's somewhat of a bit of a robotic video that I put out. But I just wanted to get it out. I mean, we've spent probably the past 3 months kind of going through different revisions, different things. We've raised a large amount of money through private investments off of the portal. So now we are opening it up through the automated process to raise capital through the portal. The portal has had one successful raise so far, and that's kind of what's opened the floodgates for people just like you to raise capital and get funding in your business on the Backers platform through the 108 Securities portal. So Ego raised capital back. They closed their financing in December. They were able to successfully raise capital from, I think, about 30 plus investors on the portal. They will be launching another offering. And that's sort of the process of Backers, is that it is a systematic approach. It's not, let's go raise $1 million in one 90-day chunk. It's a systematic approach where you stagger your raises over time, and it becomes almost like an ongoing cash flow opportunity or money generating, or I guess money generating. People don't like when I say it's revenue, but anyways, you're selling equity in your business. So you have the ability to take a customer that likes what you're doing, likes your business, and you're able to offer them equity in your business. So let's look at the offering here, just to break it down a little bit. As you can see, this is, it's not I mean, we've spent obviously some time tweaking this over the past year. and a bit, and behind the scenes, there's a lot of things that are going on. But as you can see today, I'll kind of review the components of an offering so that you yourself can start to prepare and understand what are the steps that you'll need to take in order to launch your own offering on the Backers platform on the 108 Securities Funding Portal. So obviously the first step, I guess I could start at the beginning, start at the end, but I'll go through the pieces that you can see here. There's different steps that need to be taken in each case, obviously, to launch this. But the first thing I think that you can see here is obviously there needs to be some sort of pitch video. Now, if you're familiar with typical crowdfunding, rewards-based crowdfunding platforms like a Kickstarter, like a GoFundMe, Indiegogo, whatever the typical rewards-based crowdfunding platform, there's always a video, a pitch video that is going to be sort of your centerpiece, where everyone that comes to your offering is going to basically be able to see or quickly understand what it is you're offering. Now, obviously with Backers, on the Backers platform, on the 108 Securities Funding Portal, this is not a rewards-based crowdfunding. This is equity crowdfunding, and there's a significant difference between the two. The biggest difference, obviously, is that one, you're selling equity, actual shares in a business, versus a rewards-based crowdfunding. You're typically selling, maybe a pre-sale of a product, or potentially in the case of, GoFundMe, you're selling. It's more of a donation, actually. So somebody is giving you money. They're not actually receiving anything in return in the case of a donation, or they're receiving sort of early access to your product in the case of a Kickstarter. With equity crowdfunding, you are selling shares, actual equity, actual ownership in your business, a fraction of ownership in your business to each investor. So they are now invested in your business. Think of it like when Apple or Uber or whoever recently went public on a public stock exchange. Those shares that were sold in that IPO, the initial public offering, this is very similar to that. This is we refer to as an IBO, initial backers offering, where you're actually going to be selling shares in your business to your customers, your clients, your users, your followers, your community, so that they now become owners of a small piece of your business. Now, people ask a lot of questions about, well, how much can I raise? What portion of my business do I have to give away? How much is a share going to be worth? What's the value of my business? All of these are very, very good questions. And the answer is, it depends. It depends on your business, how much you're willing to give away and how much money you need to raise. But from a OSC 45-108 equity crowdfunding exemption, the one specific exemption that we're utilizing right now, you can raise up to $1.5 million from an unlimited number of investors with a cap of $2,500 per investor, per retail, everyday investor, or a $25,000 cap per accredited investor or high net worth investor. So typically, as I mentioned, we stagger the raises. So what we've done is we've created the 100K in 100 days basically program, where you go out and you raise 10K in the first 10 days. Then you raise 30K in the next 30 days. And obviously, you guessed it, 30K in the following and 30K in the following. So in 100 days, you will raise 100K. What percentage of your business that entails, what valuation of your business that look like, it depends on your business. So that's something definitely we will work with you. Michael from 108 Securities will definitely work with you looking at sort of the valuation. Obviously, you want to go out at a valuation that is attractive to early adopters, early investors in your business. So in this case, for example, with Backers, we've raised money. We've raised over $300,000 off of the portal at valuations up to approximately $3.5 million valuation. So right now on the funding portal, as we've built and we now have a working product and we now are into sort of the growth phase, we're raising capital in this round at a $5 million valuation. So basically backers is worth $5 million on this raise, and we're selling equity, $100,000 worth of equity in backers. So that's basically, to give you some answers to some of your questions. But let's look at the pieces of the puzzle here. So you obviously have the offering video. I'm pretty sure you guys won't be able to hear it, but basically the offering video, if you want to check it out, it basically goes through the 10 reasons why you want to invest in backers. But if you were putting this video together for yourself, this video would be all about why somebody, a customer of yours or an investor who is looking for some sort of opportunity to invest in an early stage company, the question you need to answer is sort of who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and why somebody would want to invest in your business. So this video can be very simple. A lot of the people that are starting to work with us on the platform can simply, especially early stages, can just use your phone and very simply, take a quick 3-5 minute video and go through those 3 simple things, who you are, sort of what you do, what your product is, what sort of problems it's solving, why you're doing it, why someone should care, and then obviously why they would invest in your business. So in the offering page, you've got your pitch video, which obviously outlines who you are and what you do, and why someone should invest. Then you've got sort of your share price, right? So obviously you're offering shares in your business. So these shares will be tradable in the long term, as we build out our secondary market, will be tradable on an open secondary market. So right now, a share in backers is 25 cents. Right now, after this raise, there'll be 20 million outstanding shares that will be outstanding. And so of those shares, that's, if you do the math, that's the $5 million valuation. So if you look at our stock ticker, so our stock ticker is BKRS. So on the exchange, BKRS will represent a share in backers, right? If you look at on other stock exchanges, you've got the stock ticker of the company, and that represents a share in that company. So if you look at that, you've got the price per share, you've got the stock ticker, obviously, that you need to reserve. You've got the closing date. So when this is closing, we are closing this round of financing on the portal March 19th. So about 3 weeks or so from now, 21 days. So pretty much exactly 3 weeks from now. And then you've got your minimum investment that somebody can invest in your business. So on the backers platform, on the 108 Securities Funding portal, the minimum that somebody can invest as an investor is typically $100. So across the board, you're going to get, the idea is you're going to get hundreds, potentially thousands of investors investing in your business. These people become not just customers, clients, users, fans, part of that community. They now are invested in your business. And if you watch the video we released yesterday talking about loyalty, loyalty is probably the #1 reason why you, as an entrepreneur or a business owner, would want to raise capital on the backers platform, because of the deepening or the deep sort of connection that you get with the backers, with the investors that buy into or buy shares in your business. So you've got the video, obviously the company name, you've got, the invest now. We'll get into this. I probably tomorrow we'll do the next step, of the invest now, what that looks like. But basically scroll down, you've got your minimum investment. There's some share buttons where they can, kind of share the, a bit of your location, obviously the industry that you're in. Then we get into the terms, and this is where you really need to shine, and where investors are going to be interested to understand, sort of your business and where you're going with what you're doing. So the first step is we have what's called the investor deck. If you are in business and you're looking to raise capital, you've probably are somewhat familiar with the concept of an investor deck. Whether you've built one or not, you definitely need to build an investor deck. And as much as the video is sort of the appeal to why somebody would want to invest, and it gives you that sort of that pitch ability, the investor deck really delves into far more detail on what it is you do, the problem that you're solving, the market that you're in. Basically starts to really uncover what your business is, so that an investor who is contemplating investing in your business can have a much better understanding of what your business is at sort of I won't say quick glance, but in a much deeper dive. So, in the case of backers, obviously the problem that we're solving is that, a large number of businesses do fail, and there's a number of reasons why. And obviously the existing solutions are lacking. So we've created this private equity exchange that's taking advantage of sort of regulatory shifts towards everyday retail investors being able to invest in private companies, and sort of the technology advancement of blockchain, which makes it significantly more cost effective from a platform perspective to facilitate these much smaller transactions. If you look typically, we look here, a minimum $100 investment for a typical securities exchange, or other type of private equity placement to be efficient or cost effective. Your minimums, you're looking at thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars as a minimum investment. Whereas utilizing blockchain and some of the other underlying technology that the backers platform has, we're able to now allow or enable the everyday retail investor to invest as little as $100, and that is very cost effective on our platform. So you look at that, you start to talk a little bit about why your business is viable. What are some of the things that you've done that enable your business to sort of overcome the problems that were inherent. Some of the reasons why, again, for ours, obviously the loyalty aspect for a small business like yourselves, an early stage startup like yourselves, that will really be the catalyst for why somebody would want to utilize your platform. So those are a couple of things. Just want to check something here, see if we pretty sure we're live, but who knows with technology. Yeah, we're live. There we go. So basically, you start to get into your deck. In our case, some of the things that we utilize, we start to talk about, how we are able to do what we're able to do, and then some of the other sort of secret sauce, if you will, in our business, some of the other underlying contextual things that will make someone understand why what you're doing is unique or better than anyone else in the marketplace. I mean, you can't come out and try to raise capital. If you watch, I think I put a post on LinkedIn the other day about the offer, right? If you're going out and basically trying to sell the same thing that everyone else is selling, and you're just another cookie cutter business, this may not be the right solution for you. If you have a business that is unique, that is breaking ground, that is breaking barriers, that is, kind of solving a problem that has, that the market has identified as a problem, and there's a need for that solution, then this is definitely where you can start to shine and show sort of the secret sauce behind what you're doing. In the case of, obviously, with backers, the natural selection component is unique in this industry. Obviously the accessibility, sort of the democratization of capital is definitely a strong component. The fact that we are an MSB, that we actually provide our own merchant services. So, unlike utilizing a third party like a Moneris or a Stripe or some other, PayPal, we actually have created our own in-house proprietary, merchant services capabilities, which, obviously enhance our feasibility, reduce our costs, and which we're able to obviously then pass on to both you as an issuer, a company or an entrepreneur raising capital, and obviously, through to the investors. Some platforms try to actually charge, a fee to investors, right? You look at the minimum investment, there are actually platforms out there that charge a $25 fee to the investor. Obviously, in the case of backers, there is no fee to the investor. So we're able to significantly reduce those costs. Imagine you invested $100 and $25 went to a fee right off the top. That would mean that your investment, you would only get $75 worth of equity in the business, even though you put $100 as an investor. And then obviously you get into some of the other things, the other components, in this case, sort of where we're going with the business, the market, the opportunity. As mentioned in the video, we're looking at a couple exemptions right now in Ontario, specifically the 45-108 equity crowdfunding exemption. We did some quick math in Ontario. There's about 500,000 companies that would qualify for this type of opportunity. Small, medium-sized businesses that are looking to go out and grow their business. So in the early stage, obviously in Ontario, there's a huge opportunity, but, we put here, this is the kind of the ultimate, if you look at 3, 5, 8, 10 years down the road, I mean, as we expand, and sort of take this globally, there's an opportunity that is quite expansive. So you look at, the competition, where you stack up versus others, you start to kind of break down what your business is, so that when an investor looks at it, they can say, okay, company XYZ that I'm reviewing here as an investment, maybe I'm a client or customer of theirs. Let's see how they stack up versus their competition. Let's see what makes them different from their competition. So that's really where the competition deck kind of comes in. There's a couple different ways of describing that or showcasing that. In this case, obviously, for us, we're using more of an automated, market-driven approach versus, sort of the typical VC model, where they use more of a subjective. They go out, they do an analysis on the business, and they determine whether somebody can actually launch or not. And oftentimes, they're 90%, they're wrong 90% of the time, and they turn away, 95% of the businesses. So it's interesting to see, all these businesses that can likely raise capital on a platform like this are often turned away, and not the actual market is not allowed to determine who the winner is. So, we talk about sort of the natural selection up here, that's a component of that piece. So obviously in your deck, you want to kind of put this together. Obviously you want to identify your business model. In the case of backers, our business model is we're a platform, sort of a software as a service. We license our software to the dealers. In this case, it's 108 Securities, but we charge a percentage of cash and a percentage of the equity, of the amount that's raised on the platform. So, if you look at our goals over the next 3 years, our goal is to have 5,000 deals go through the platform. So there's 5,000 issuers raising capital, 5,000 entrepreneurs, 5,000 companies raising capital on the backers platform through the various funding portals, right? An average of about $300,000 per raise, and we charge a percentage, cash and equity. And it sort of varies depending on a couple of variables. But so, there's some revenue projections. So this is really an opportunity for you to showcase, in these couple slides here, really what the market is, what you're trying to, obviously you identified the problem, you've identified sort of your target customer, target audience. But now you're really showcasing what the scalability of your business is, because if somebody's investing in your business, right, they want to understand, if I put $1 in or $100 in today, let's say at 25 cents a share, so now I own 400 shares. What is that share going to be worth in 6 months, a year, 5 years, right? When I want to liquidate my investment and I want to take my returns, what is that share potentially going to be worth in 1, 3, 5 years? So you really need to showcase what the scalability of your business is, right? In this case, 25 cents a share is where we're at today, on today's February 26, 2021, right? In a month or so, you'll see here in a bit, we're going to be raising another round at twice the valuation, right? And then that will scale up over time, over the coming, sort of 12 months. And our anticipation is that, we will get to, obviously a significantly higher valuation as we're able to showcase, as we're able to show revenues, as we're able to demonstrate that these 5,000 deals are going through the portal, right? Are going through the platform. And as we start to generate those revenues, to our projection of 240 million, right? That is kind of the scalability of, let's say, a platform like Backers. So obviously, you need to kind of get into what your business model is. Obviously, identifying who the team is. I mean, in this case, we have a team, myself, founder and CEO of Backers, Michael Crowley, he is the director and our CFO as well. He runs 108 Securities, but we also have an underlying team of developers, marketers, advisors, so that there's a whole team that goes behind your business. So you can either showcase, a few of your key team members, or you can, choose to kind of showcase some of the other people that are involved. Typically, though, you want to keep this very high level. I mean, people don't necessarily need to know, who your marketing manager is, or your director of sales. But you can definitely showcase some of the talent that you might have when it comes to your team. And that's a great way to showcase the skill set that you will have to be able to accomplish the goals that you've set out for your business, right? It's one thing to showcase, kind of what the business is and the problem, but it's actually the team that's going to execute on that business model. It's the team that's going to take you from where you are today to where you're going. And the investors really want to know, what is the credibility of your team? I mean, in this case, obviously, I don't want to don't want to toot my own horn, but yes, an MBA graduate. I've worked in a number of different sectors, developed a number of different businesses and business platforms, and I have experience. I've definitely made mistakes along the way, but definitely been able to learn from that and build a following, build a successful business, build a successful platform here in Backers. Obviously Michael is another example of someone who has demonstrated success in a number of different sectors, specifically in around banking, entrepreneurship, venture capital, securities, equities, and capital markets. So combined, we have sort of the technology, tech, visionary, the kind of the builder, if you will, and then we've got the underlying kind of processes and procedures, and really the underlying regulatory kind of compliance side with Michael Crowley. So that's where the business is. That's the team. And then you really want to identify, in this case, this is a slide that some people have questioned whether it should be in a deck like this. And in years past, a slide like this was not, you could not put a slide like this because you're looking at sort of forward-looking statements, and you were not allowed to promote offerings in private companies. Now, with the regulatory shift, you're able to showcase where your business is going and how you see it growing over the next few months, few years, and the rounds of raises that you're going to be undertaking, so people can see the progress that you're going to be making and that you're going to be showcasing, right? So now, obviously, we talked about the disclaimer. You look at, forward-looking statements. So this is a corporate presentation. So there are forward-looking statements, and obviously, investors shouldn't sort of take those forward-looking statements with a grain of salt. They should understand there is inherent risk. But if you look here, for Backers, right now we're in our round 2. We've already raised $339,000 for Backers privately. We're now in round 2, and we are raising $100,000 at a $5 million valuation, right? That will be closing, as I mentioned, in March. Round 3, we'll be raising another $100,000 at a $10 million valuation. That will be closing in April. Round 4, $100K at a $15 million valuation. which will be closing in May, and then round 5 at a $20 million valuation that will be closing in June. And then we have plans to continue going on at $100,000 a month at ever increasing valuations for arguably the next, at least 24 months. So you're going to see continued rounds and continued raises over time from backers. And that is part of the backers sort of stepped approach that allows for you to grow your audience and slowly allow for people to adopt. You reward the early adopters with a low early kind of valuation, and then you are able to grow over time. We talked about an early investment in Facebook, where it's 10 times private investment in Facebook is actually worth 10 times more than that same investment just 3 years later during its initial public offering. And that's something that, prior to backers, prior to this regulatory shift, you were not able to invest in early stage private companies as a retail investor, as an everyday retail investor. But now you can. So the deck kind of outlines, obviously you want to have them connect with you so they can find you, they can see who you are. If they're not already a customer, client, user, part of your community, fan, they can definitely see who you are, go out, do a little research, do a little background into who you are, and see where you're going. And in this case, we put together, just a quick slide. I thought it was interesting. This is obviously unique in what I've seen, but we put together a slide, the top 10 reasons why you would want to invest in backers, which is sort of what this video actually kind of delves into, the top 10 reasons. But that's basically your investor deck. There are many ways to put together an investor deck. This is how we've put ours together, but definitely you would need to do some research. We've got some material on putting together your investment deck or investor deck, sorry, so that you can kind of take the model and create what you need from it. So let's get into the terms, and this is where the nuts and bolts of an offering come in. This is where the regulated components come in. If you notice at the bottom here, we've got the offering document. I will click into that in a second, but basically here's where the regulated side comes in. What we are offering are Class C common shares. So you as an investor or as an issuer, you're going to decide what shares you're going to be offering. Typically, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, there's founder shares, maybe the Class A shares, maybe there's a Class B shares. Those may be voting and have certain rights attached to them. What you're going to be offering here are Class C or whatever class letter that is next sort of in the sequence in your business. These are Class C, in this case, non-voting common shares. So this is by offering these up, these investors don't have, they participate in obviously the upside and benefit from the growth of the business, but they don't impact the day-to-day operations. So they are non-voting common shares is sort of the typical share. But as an issuer, you can definitely offer whatever type of share class you feel comfortable offering. So it can be non-voting, voting. It's really up to you. But typically, we recommend non-voting common shares. In this case, obviously, the minimum investment. There's no minimum offering, but we are offering a maximum of $100,000. And right now, as a whole, for that $100,000, we're offering 2% equity in the backers platform. And as you see, the pre-money valuation is at $5 million. So I'm going to end it on this with one last thing. So there are a number of documents that you need to complete as an issuer prior to being able to launch your offering on the funding portal. The main document is that of the offering document. And so in this case, it's called an F1. You can go through on our site. It's sort of an offering document that outlines who you are as a business, what the offering is, how much you're raising. This is the actual regulatory document that the regulator, the Ontario Securities Commission in this case, requires you to basically disclose. It's sort of a disclosure document to disclose to the investors about your business, right? And to disclose, obviously you've got the funding portal there to disclose who you are as a business. There's we've got your financials in there, and so it basically is your disclosure document to a prospective investor, right? So they know what they're investing in, so that they can now see, okay, this is the investment opportunity. This is what I am investing in. So there you have it. This is Getting Backers Part 1. This is what an offering looks like, an initial backers offering. You've got your video, you've got your stock ticker, you've got your date, your minimum investment, you've got your investor deck, and then you've got sort of your terms and conditions. Now, tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about when they click this button up here, invest now, the process that an investor will go through as they start the process to invest in your business. In this case, they would be investing in the Backers platform, in Backers itself, which is obviously, what this entire thing is running on, in this 108 Securities funding portal. So tomorrow I'll talk a little bit about what the investor will go through and sort of the process, the onboarding, the subscription agreements, some of the other components, the banking, the KYC, all these different things that the investor will go through as they choose to, once they click this button, invest now in your business. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys joining me today. Again, I'm Justin Fox. You can definitely reach out on the site here. You can click and get through to us. Click Get Funding, connect with us. You can start the process to launch your own offering right here on the Backers platform, on the 108 Securities funding portal. So you can start raising capital for your business. As I mentioned, first step is, or sort of the first sort of wave is the 100K in 100 days. 10K in 10 days is literally the first step, but there's some components that you need to complete prior to being able to launch your offering. So with that being said, I'm going to end this. I really appreciate you guys joining me, and have yourselves a great day. Enjoy. It's Great Friday. We'll be back again, and I'll probably see you guys again on Monday for part 2. So stay tuned. And if you're so inclined, feel free to invest in Backers, because an investment in Backers is like an investment in the thousands of companies that will raise capital on this platform. All right. Thanks again. Have yourselves a great day.